Hello, and welcome back to Cast Loves Tech. In today's video, we are going to be spending some time talking about client slash potential client follow-ups inside of a CRM. And for today's example, I am going to be focusing on the Lawcus CRM platform, and we're going to walk through together how to set up an automation, a workflow automation inside of Lawcus to be able to capture new lead follow-ups as well as existing client follow-ups in the event that that becomes something that you require. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to be going inside of Lawcus. Once you're signed into Lawcus, you want to make sure that you go to automations as we have been doing, and once you're here, you are going to hit the button to add a new workflow. Once a new workflow is created, you want to make sure that you title your workflow. So for this example, I'm just going to title it new lead follow-up, and that will then allow us to begin creating that automation here. All right, so we, for this example, are going to want this trigger to be set up exactly when the new lead is created. So when a new lead is created, we're going to have it set up to start this automation. And the pipeline stage that we'll select for this is lead intake, because that's where the new lead will end up, and it will also be in prospect. So once you have all this squared away, you're then going to go ahead and hit continue. From here, you need to now select an action, right? And so the action is going to be, once the new lead is created, which that was the trigger, you want to then send an email to the new lead to see if they're interested in scheduling a consultation. So in order to do this, we would first need to go ahead and select send email. So we'll go ahead and hit next. Now from here, we need to select who is going to be sending out this communication. If you are a sole proprietor, you're the only attorney within your firm, then you would be the one sending this email out. Or even if you were the main attorney or the managing attorney that would be sending something like this out, I would possibly, potentially, depending on the situation, still have it come out from like hello at your organization, or info at your organization, or admin at your organization, so that it's separate from you. Prevent the new lead from having access to you as the managing attorney or the attorney handling their file too soon. So having a hello at or admin at send out the email instead is going to kind of curve that, because once potential clients have the ability to get in contact with you, they will. And it may bombard your email, or it may be something that you just don't want to start. You don't want to set up bad habits. So I would encourage you that even if you're a solo firm and you're the managing person, to have another email set up so that you can have that particular email send out these communications instead of it coming directly from you. So for this example, now that I've said that, I am going to have it come from hello. And from here, I am also going to select the recipient, and the recipient is actually going to come from a previous trigger. So the recipient who would receive this communication would be from the step once the lead is created, and that information is going to come from a separate automation that you may have set up. So one thing I want to quickly point out before we get too far into this video is that when I introduced this video, I made mention that I would be spending time focusing on how to set up workflows for potential clients as well as clients. Because of the length that this video is, I'm actually going to do a separate video strictly dedicated to some follow-ups that we could send to clients at any stage in the game. But for this video, I'm strictly going to keep it focused only on potential clients and lead nurturing for potential clients. Just wanted to make sure I communicated that to you. Now let's jump back into the video. All right, so in order to have the recipient section populate for us, we need to follow the lead value from trigger. And once we select the drop down, it's going to bring up some options for us. We just need to go ahead and select the email address for the lead so that it adds the email address and it sends the email to the lead, because that's the action that we're wanting this to do. From here, we have two different options. We could choose the option to use an email template. And if we choose that option, it's just going to populate the email from the template for us here. That's one way we could go about it. Another way that we can go about it here is to just go ahead and populate the information right within this particular workflow. So that way it's living right here. It's really just going to depend on you and your timing, which option that you move forward with. I'm going to go ahead and for this first trigger for this first condition that we're putting in place, I'm going to manually input the information here. And then when I do the next email in this particular workflow sequence, I will choose the option to do a template so that you get to see both options. So I'm just pasting the subject, and depending on the name of your firm, you'll just put whatever your firm name is here. I am going to make up a firm right now and just put in their information. For this entire training video, or this entire video, I am actually going to use that same firm name every time, so that way we're keeping it consistent with this particular example. I am going to be using the law office of Jessica Rabbit for all of the email sequences that we're putting together. So every time there's a space where it says your law firm or law firm name, I'm going to be inputting the law office of Jessica Rabbit. So I've already crafted all the emails that I want to use for this sequence. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste them into the body of the message area section here. And once we paste it, we'll see that the information is right here for us. Because the automation and the workflows are very specific, I am going to remove the holder that I have here and just take it from the trigger, the lead trigger here, and paste in that first name so that we can ensure that this populates. Sometimes when we use the option from a if you will, a custom field, it doesn't necessarily always work, but if we do it from the trigger, it always populates that information for us here. So greetings, and then we have the first name based on the trigger, and then we're going to say welcome, and we are going to just make up some things here. So for here, we're saying that Jessica Rabbit is the name of the attorney. And for this example, we're going to say that the practice area is family law. Family law, if I can spell. I still didn't spell it right. My Lord. Okay, family law. And we'll remove the practice area once we've inserted that information. And the city and state is going to be all right. Now we also need to add in the county. And now we can say divorce. We can say domestic violence dispute, paternity, adoptions, guardianships. I didn't spell that right either. Guardianships and name changes. One thing that I see here that would need to change if hello is going to be the one sending this email out would be the way that this email is worded. So it's worded as a first person, so it would need to be flipped to third person in order to go out from the hello account. I'm going to just leave it as is for this particular example, and in the rest of the examples that follow, it will be geared in a different way. So I just want to be able to move on from this and move into the rest of the emails sequence that we'll have to put together. Now, one thing that you could do is you can add in any type of flyers or any pricing that you have or anything like that that you want the new lead to have access to with this welcome email. If you have a pamphlet that goes over pricing, or if you have a list of team members that are involved in your firm and you want to send that over, if you have a deal of some sort and you want to send that over in an attachment, this would be where you would do that. So for this example, I don't have any of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And now it has it set up to send out this email to the new lead once the new lead is created. So once the new lead is created, this will then send that email out to them. Now, one thing that we can do, right, is we can have the system search to see if a matter was created for this new lead, right? We can set up a search function so that we're able to identify whether this new lead has been converted to a matter. Sometimes firms will speak with a new lead, the new lead is ready to go, and the matter is converted at that same time. If that's the case, we don't want this email sequence to be sent out if there is an instance for any reason at all that the matter is converted. So what we can do to set us up for success is we can go ahead and add in a search function, and we can have it search for the matter to see if the matter exists already. And the parameters that we're going to put in place for this particular one is we're going to have it to search for the lead ID, or we're going to have it search for the full name of the person. So we're either going to have it searched by the lead ID, or we're going to have it searched by the name. The lead ID and the name are not always unanimous in the same, so that's why I'm choosing both options. And if any of these cases apply, we're going to say that we want to stop the workflow, because we don't want to send communication to the new lead trying to start this process to get them to do something if they've already been converted to a matter. So then we'll hit continue to next. Now we're brought back to the email because that's next in the sequence, and then we'll go ahead and hit save. So right now we have a new lead enters. We search the system to see if a matter has been converted. If a matter has not been converted, then we're going to go ahead and send an email to the lead to start this lead nurturing sequence. Once we've sent out this email, we like to have a little bit of a time delay. So we're going to add in a time delay for a specific amount of time. Because this is the first communication that's going to go out once the new lead is created, we're then going to wait 14 days before sending an additional communication. So we're going to do time delay, and then we're going to do next. And the type of delay is going to be for a set amount of time, right? So for a set amount of time. And now we're going to go ahead and select that we want to delay it in a certain amount of minutes, hours, days, whatever. So for this example, we're going to do days. And so the value that goes here is going to be 14 because we want to follow up in 14 days, and then we'll hit save. Now that this is set up, the next thing that we need to do is add the next layer. So the next layer in the sequence is going to be to search again to see if the matter has been converted after 14 days. Because with everything, we want to give the system a chance to identify whether something has been done with this new lead before we continue to make contact with them. So we're going to search again, and we're going to hit next, and we're going to enter in the same parameters that we did in the previous step. And we're just going to go ahead and search by lead ID, or we're going to search for it by the full name of the client. Same thing applies. If they are able to find that matter, we're going to go ahead and stop the workflow. It doesn't need to continue. So now we're going to hit save. And now we have a little bit more information populated here for following up with this lead or nurturing this lead. We now need to send another email. So now we'll go ahead and we'll send another email to the lead to see if we can get them to do something. So now we are going to select it from a team member, the same team member that we did before. And for this email, we are going to look for the email address for the recipient. And for this one, I am going to go ahead and insert the email template so you see what that looks like. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do it and select use email template, and we're going to select the email number 2 template, which is not showing up here, so allow me a moment. Okay, so this is the email and our link is there. We're good to go. We're going to go ahead and say copy email template content so that it goes ahead and paste that information in. And we see now that the subject came over, the email came over, everything came over beautifully. So we're in good shape here. Now, I need to take out this bit here that says Dear Lead, and we're going to change this out to reflect the name of the lead. I'm just going to do the first name. And now that this is changed over, we see that our link is here. If we wanted to ensure that this link works, all we need to do is hover over it, click on it, and then click Open Link. And it will open the link here for us. And unfortunately, I didn't do this the way that I should have. I should have updated it first, so we lost that particular step. So I'm just going to do it again really quickly for us here. Now here we go, and we're going to go ahead and save this first. And now we can go back to the email and we could look at the link if we wanted to, and we can even open it, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to just leave it. We looked at the link, we saw that it works. It's good to go. One thing that you probably have noticed by now is that I am not including any signatures below this because we already have our attached default signature highlighted and checked off here. So we do not need to add in a different kind of signature. So I'm going to go ahead and save it again. And you should be noticing a rhythm here where there is a search, an email, then a delay, then a search, then an email. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this for us really quickly, and then I'll come back in so that you can see the entire sequence from the first lead all the way down. Stand by. Okay, so now that we've reached to the end of the sequence, I am now going to do the final step, which I would encourage everyone to do when they're setting up an automation of this type, and that is to add a task to the appropriate person, whoever's the person that would need to see the task, to identify that this particular person is no longer inside of the new lead world, right? And so the only way to do this is to advise the team, or if not the team, whoever needs to know that lead nurturing has ended. So this is pretty much it. And so you just want to make sure that you add a description to this, so whoever is assigned to it will know what comes next. And you could assign as many people as you want. Literally, you can just keep adding people, and every person that's involved in your firm would receive the notification. So all I'm doing is hitting the add user feature, so that every user within the organization is notified of the end of this sequence for this person. So the last thing that I need to do here is add in the information for what needs to happen in the description. So I'm going to add it in here, and I'm going to say that the trigger name, I'm just going to reinsert that field so it comes right from here. And the trigger name has reached the end of the lead nurturing workflow. This task is to convert the, and then I'm going to put the trigger name again. That's not highlighted, so I'm just going to take it out to spare myself here. And go ahead and put in the name again. And this will allow everyone to know. And then you can make the due date whatever you want. For this instance, I'm just going to make it 3 days after. This is, oh, it didn't populate. 3 days after, and then put done. And then it adds a trigger in for us, and then hit save. Now, this is the entire lead nurturing workflow here. And you are more than welcome to use the same kind of emails that I use, or set up your own. I have been told that at least 7 emails are the number of emails that you want to send to be able to get the lead to convert to, or not even to convert, but to do whatever the call to action is that you have. For the emails that I set up for today's example, all the call to actions were to just schedule a consultation, and 1 or 2 of them I might have outlined or identified a particular service or type, but typically for every single sequence in this automation, I had it set up so that it would have the person book a consultation, because that's the next step. In one of the examples, I may have even said for them to call the office if they're ready to move forward, so that, or fill out a form if they're ready to move forward, so that the firm is aware that they're ready to proceed with services. But all in all, as long as you have at least 7 to 10 emails crafted, you can go ahead and proceed with this automation in the way that I did it. In every single step that I did, the time frame has decreased. So it went from 14 days from when the first email is, and then it gets lower, it gets smaller in length. So the last time it's like a day in between each one. So when we get down to the number 19 here, it's 29 days, but then the one right before it is 28 days. So the number of time is actually decreasing, which with each touch point that we're making to the lead. So that way, if they're interested, they'll come forward. If they're not interested, then they'll just like leave, and they'll send an email or send something saying that they want to unsubscribe or they don't want to receive any more communications, and we'll stop it at that point as well. And so you see that each one, it's pretty much sending them out like every other day. And then the last 2 is sent out like 1 day apart. And this is pretty much it for the workflow automation for nurturing a new lead. I did promise that I would show you what it looks like for a new lead, for a new lead that enters the Lawcus world, what that workflow looks like. I'm not going to spend any time walking through the steps of how I created this particular automation workflow in this video, But if that is something that you would like to see, just let me know, put something in the comments, or get in touch with me via email, and I will create a video just for that instance. But to show you what it looks like, we would go to automations, and from automations we would go to the workflow area, which we already here, and then I am going to pull up the workflow that we're talking about here today. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled out the workflow that I was talking about when it comes to a new lead being added to the CRM. And if we just click on new lead, it will bring it up for us. And I've already set this up. Like I said, this is something that I would encourage a firm to use, and I've set something like this up for the various firms that I do support. So once the intake form is submitted, the automation would kick in, and it would search the system to see if there's a new lead. Once a new lead is searched for, if the new lead is not in the CRM system, the system will then create the new lead. Once a new lead is created, then we get back into the world where we can start doing these follow-ups. So once a new lead is created, the system will then search to see if a matter has been created for this person, because sometimes law firms are able to convert clients at the same time that they're entered in as a new lead. So this would allow us to begin that search, and then all the steps that follow in this new lead nurturing sequence will come into play. So that's the background automation workflow that is essential in order for the new lead sequence. Now, if you don't have a new lead sequence that's created from a contact form, then you would need to choose another trigger to be able to create that new lead. Maybe the person booked an appointment. You can create a new lead based on appointment being added to the system. If you're using Calendly or the Lawcus appointment scheduler feature, one of those options would need to be utilized in order to be able to have the system create a lead from a consultation being scheduled. Everybody's organization is different when it comes to the way that new leads enter into their ecosystem. I would encourage you to determine and pinpoint a way for new leads to be added in, especially if you're utilizing Lawcus, just so that you ensure that every single time a new person makes contact with your firm, they're imported into the system. I'm a firm believer that the technology should work to our benefit, not our detriment. And so I would definitely encourage you to ensure that your system is set up to automatically, organically add these new leads as they're coming in, instead of having a staff member or yourself, if you're a solo attorney, inputting that information. Definitely have the system set up for you so it can work for you, because that's what it's there for. All right, if you found this video helpful and you want to see more videos like this, please definitely get in touch with me. If you have any questions regarding this video, or you wanted me to go a little bit deeper into one specific segment, definitely feel free to leave a comment below or get in touch with me via email. The email address is casslovestech@simpson-aso.com. Until the next video, have an amazing day, and I hope you found this video helpful.